Renee.
Oh, thank you. As always, I'm so delighted to be here. You are so beautiful. My heart always fills to overflowing when I see you and feel you and experience you. That song, was that written about me for me? I I'm
Guess
going to
so.
download that and I'm just going to claim right here and now when I do my TED Talk, that will be my intro.
Yes.
Oh, hold that for me. So, good morning, good morning, good morning.
Hey.
I am just filled to overflowing this morning. I have so much energy and I can't wait to share it with you. So, I want to just read something from Romans for you. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. Um, if we can renew our mind, the whole entire world around us, our world, the perspective, the view from our conscious window shifts. And this is what we've been talking about over the past couple weeks. We've gathered around the profound and simple image of the kaleidoscope. And if you have not ever experienced the kaleidoscope, it's just this tube with glass in it, and you turn it, and it becomes these magical expressions of change. So when we discover the pieces of our lives change, we recognize that nothing actually has to change for us to see our lives anew. Joy can remain, heartbreak can remain, our victories and all the disappointments remain, yet one sacred turn and an entirely new pattern appears. Have you ever had that in your life? I most certainly have, and I will share some of that with you. This is an awakening. And I think that all of us have had an awakening once or twice in our lives. It's inevitable as we grow consciously, as we deepen our relationship with spirit. It's inevitable. And whether we notice it or not, or move into it with grace and ease, that is really a inner decision. So our miracles are rarely that our circumstances suddenly become different. The miracle is that we become different. We can be standing in the middle of the rubble, and at one point, when we shift and we turn that, it becomes a completely different experience because we're seeing it anew. So, what happens after we turn the kaleidoscope? Because, it's really only the beginning. We see. And then here is where the real spiritual practice begins when life invites us to trust. Um, those of you who have been following my journey in January of this year, my life took a spin on the kaleidoscope. And where it landed was completely unexpected to me. And at that moment, it felt like everything I knew, everything I was completely annihilated. And yet, there was a space in between seeing and living. And there's a strange season that follows after awakening. Perhaps you've experienced it, hopefully not as dramatically as I did or as painfully, but you suddenly recognize a pattern you've lived your entire life. Have you ever noticed that? Like, wait a minute, this is repeat. Huh, this is deja vu of my very life. And wait a minute, this seems like Groundhog's Day. It just keeps coming back. You can see in this moment an inherited belief. We've talked about the labels that we give ourselves or who we believe ourselves to be in a limiting story. Maybe we recognize that we've had an unconscious habit. Um, and then for one beautiful moment, when we recognize these things, we are free. But then Monday arrives and the bills come and someone criticizes us and a relationship triggers an old wound, fears whisper, maybe nothing really changed, maybe you're really not enough, this, that, and the other thing, all the things that we tell ourselves. And it sounds familiar because it's easy for us to slide back because it is our rut. That's where we've been hanging out, and we've been comfortable with the misery, if you will. Maybe you're not miserable, but we're used to the limited idea. So this is a moment where most people believe awakening has failed. I certainly did on January 31st. I lost my faith, I lost my way, I lost everything that I thought I believed in. At one point, I even said, I can't believe that I've been teaching this all these years because it was a lie. It was a lie. And I really truly believe that. And then I needed to prepare a talk to come be with you. And I thought, okay, how do I do that in this space? And if you were here, I was raw and I was authentic. And that gave me the space. You were so beautiful and so loving to surround me in that moment. And it gave me the space to speak a truth and to notice that there was something emerging. Consciousness always changes before behavior. Spirit always reveals before life reflects. Ernest Holmes knew this. Ernest Holmes reminds us, change your thinking, change your life. Seems so simple, and yet it is so profound and at times very complicated. Notice he didn't say change your circumstances. Emerson said, I am not moved by circumstances, therefore circumstances move for me. And that's pretty deep because how can I'm going to stand there and all of a sudden I think that the rubble in front of me doesn't exist. Well, yes, it does. What he's saying is they move for me, which means I've moved my mind to a different perspective. I've moved my mind to a place of learning instead of a victim. So as we change our thinking, and we understand that our consciousness is our causation. It's our causation. It's the word that we speak forth that becomes manifest, becomes form. The outer world is affected by everything we think and believe. Our inner world is the cause. So it's not wishful thinking, it's spiritual law. All thought is energy. All thought creates form. So let's talk about the caterpillar. Everybody knows about the caterpillar. And imagine, if we could, the caterpillar inside the chrysalis. And this kind of freaked me out when I first learned that its entire body dissolves. And I'm like, oh. And so if we look at ourselves in that metaphor, which many have talked about, we understand and we believe and know that scientists have literally told us that this caterpillar becomes a kind of soup, right? Which is in its what will I be form, right? Everything that once defined it disappears. And now that butterfly emerges. It looks to the sky and says, oh, I think I'll go back to crawling. I can't. Not because crawling is bad, but because crawling no longer matches what we have become. And so when we try to stay in the same form, it becomes more and more uncomfortable. It becomes smaller, it becomes tighter to where we're so uncomfortable that we have to make a change. We want to make a change. How can I not feel this way? Do we want to continue to live as a caterpillar? I don't think so. If you envision a baby crawling along, eventually it says, nope, not enough, and it stands up and begins to walk. That is our innate spirit. That's what we have been given as that expression of exploration, a questioning, what's next? How do I move through it? So I believe, and I know that I have been addicted to the familiar because it actually takes strength and courage to move from this space to the next space. Because almost in a way, we're stepping out into the abyss and we're not sure of where our foot will reach. It's almost because it's unknown. It's unknown. And so even sometimes the pain becomes familiar. I, at one point in my life, was addicted to the drama. Oh, they just don't know how horrible it's been. And I love to recreate everything that happened in my life so that you could know how much I have suffered. And poor girl, she's been through so much. Well, why? Why would I do that? Because familiar feels safe, even if it's miserable. And my one of my teachers says, "Oh, I'm in a pile of a pony poop, but oh, it's so warm." And so get that visual. It's like we don't want to be here, but it's comfortable. We've wrapped a blanket around ourselves. How many old relationships, our old identities, we repeat old conversations, we live with old fears. We say, this is just who I am. This is just who I am. Nobody changes. How many times have you heard that in your life? Well, nobody really changes. So untrue. So absolutely untrue. And what is change but evolution? We evolve. We evolve in consciousness. We evolve in awareness of who we are in the world around us. Um, it may not be simple to practice this new being. There is a difference. So let's talk about from the quantum perspective. Give me a second. So we've learned that quantum physics moves into this realm of thought and being. So it offers an interesting metaphor. And I hang out in quantum. I'm learning as much as I can because it does intersect with what we teach and what we believe. So, electron, I'm going to get a little scientific for a second. An electron exists as possibility. Until it's observed, it collapses and then it becomes a measurable state. That's the place of where we can move into manifestation. Again, not as theology, but as a metaphor for consciousness, okay? So, where attention goes, experience and manifestation flows. Okay? So, every thought that we have collapses whatever, let's put it this way, whatever we're focusing on, is it fear? Is it limitation? Is it the old story, the old label? The field becomes arranged around the brokenness, and that's where we re-manifest. Okay. So if you can observe yourself in the whole as the whole, the field begins to organize around the wholeness. The pattern begins changing. And it may not change overnight because remember, our thoughts are habitual. We have been thinking these things for a very long time. But as we begin to drop like ink into water, eventually it becomes one. Takes a while sometimes, but it eventually becomes one, becomes opaque. So here's where faith enters. Faith is not believing everything will go your way. That's not what that means. Faith is trusting the pattern before you can fully see it. That's what I definitely had to do in January. Well, no, it took me till February, March, actually. Well, maybe still every day I go through this. When you hold a kaleidoscope, you never panic. You don't panic because you can't see the next design. You trust the turn. Why? Because you've experienced beauty before. We trust spirit the same way. We can believe that this moment, even when confusing, is rearranging itself into something beautiful beyond our current vision. Beyond our current vision. It's almost like you're standing at the window and the blinds are slightly cracked and you just see a little bit of a view, but the minute you open that, you see the whole thing. And that's what happens when we begin to change our idea of ourself in the story. Remember that our thinking surrounds any thought that we're having is surrounded by the manifestation of the energy of law. So what you think about, you bring about. And so how many times you've said, well, I wasn't thinking about that. I wasn't thinking about my car breaking down. Well, of course not. But what you did manifest is lack, not moving forward, fear, limitation, right? And so many of us carry our old stories like relics, like sacred relics. I've always been anxious. I've never been enough. My family has always struggled. Um, I always lose. The ego mistakes repetition for identity. We talked about that a couple talks ago about labels, the labels that we give ourselves. So my repetition is, I don't know. I'm just going to pick one. Not enough. So that's a repetitive thought that I would have over and over and over. And so those stories become sacred to me. And those stories then became the manifestation of who I thought I was. Spirit only sees infinite potential expressing itself. So the question then becomes, which story are you feeding? Which story are you feeding? And so this is where consciousness comes in at a higher level. We have to pay attention to what we are thinking, what we're noticing. Let's put it that way. Not what we're thinking. What are we noticing? What are we interested in? What are we exploring behind the thought? Many people pray for a larger life, but few ask, who must I become to hold it? Who must I become to hold this higher vision? Blessings require containers. Love requires a heart capable of receiving. Abundance requires consciousness that no longer fears lack. Peace requires someone willing to stop arguing with reality. The emerging pattern is not asking you to acquire more, it's asking you to become more available. I'm going to say that one more time. It's asking you to become more available or receptive. So there have been seasons in my own life, which we have talked about many times, when I could clearly see spirit inviting me forward. Every instinct wanted to return to what was familiar, but because it felt, not because it was heavier, but because it was known. Transformation is rarely comfortable. In January, I not only wanted to return to what was comfortable, I wanted to rewind time. I wanted to go back, even though I know that some ways I was a smaller version of myself. And this new version was absolutely standing raw in the wind. I had no idea. I spoke a different language. I walked differently. I saw life differently. I stepped into a life that was fitting the soul that I was awakening to. The soul was always there, but I was remembering. And I asked for a bigger life. I asked for more love. I asked for a life that was filled with peace. So, how come in January my entire life collapsed? That's not what I asked for. That incredible heart-wrenching pain. I didn't ask for that. Or did it was this part of the process of removing everything that no longer served me? That's a hard thing to get to now. Excuse me, it was a hard thing. And now I'm in that revelation of, oh my gosh, that and that and that and that and that and that aligned to create this. Okay, there's a pattern. So when we live from the new pattern, it doesn't look like a clear path. It doesn't look like a peaceful path at times. Mine certainly did not. Let's do curiosity before certainty. Let's do presence before panic, love before fear, because you're not forcing yourself to become something. You're accepting, you're receiving, you're opening. And eventually it becomes a spiritual practice that you're very, very comfortable with. So I want to invite you to do something this week. And what that is to ask yourself a question every single morning. Maybe it's when your eyes open. Maybe it's when you become aware of your surroundings, your feet hit the floor, you're at coffee. But remember to be curious and to ask yourself this question: who am I becoming today? Not what do I need to fix? Don't immediately go to your to-do list. Not what is wrong with me. Not, oh gosh, I have to go to the gym because I haven't gone in a week. Or, oh my gosh, I've got this entire to-do list. I don't have time for my spiritual practices. or on and on and on, depending on what your story is. Notice in that moment that every moment wants to invite you back to the old story. Every moment. We're walking along, we're happy, joyous, and free, and then something pops in our mind, an experience forms before us, and we're instantly shifted. This is where we smile and go, oh, okay, I see you. I see what you're doing there. All right, okay. And so in that moment, we choose to be different and say, all right, girl, I got this. I got this. It's all right. I see you. I see what you're trying to do. And then one choice at a time, one thought at a time, and one sacred turn at a time, our prayers become the time that we're living in. The prayer is a turning. Prayer is a turning away from that which we no longer want. So I'm going to leave us with this. Perhaps the greatest miracle is not that God changes our lives. Perhaps a miracle is that God changes the consciousness through which we experience life. And yet we need to be willing. And when consciousness changes, everything else eventually flows. A pattern emerges. The pieces were never the problem. They were simply waiting for a new way of seeing. So the invitation I'm giving you is simple. Trust what Spirit has shown you. Trust the becoming. Trust the emerging pattern. Because the person you are becoming is already quietly living inside of you, waiting for you to stop introducing yourself as who you used to be. Ooh, let's do that one again. Spirit is waiting for you to stop introducing yourself as who you used to be. That like hit me. Boom. I read that somewhere, and so I put it in here. And when you finally do, you'll discover something beautiful. You were never creating a new self. You were remembering the one Spirit imagined from the beginning of who you are. And I'll tell you one little story. Last night, I went to a concert, a fundraiser at a church. And there were many, many of my colleagues there and my old congregation. And they kept saying, wow, everything about you is different. And I said, really, how so? Not just because I look different, but your energy is different. You're so peaceful. You're so peaceful. And I said, I guess I am. But they kept saying, you're so different. You even look different. And the only reason I look different, feel different is because this is different. And so that was kind of an affirmation that everything I've been through was, I'm not going to say worth it. Wish I had imagined something different for myself, but it was necessary for me to step into it with curiosity and to say, all right, I'm in it. So now what? How do I move through this with grace and ease and experience the miracle? So I love you all so much. Remember your question. What am I becoming today? Who am I becoming today? Not what. Who am I becoming today? And you can ask yourself that throughout the day. Am I becoming what I intended? That's not it right there. I just showed up as who I used to be. So I want to show up as who I intended myself to become today. I love you all so much. And I see everything around me changing. I see you changing. Your questions change. They become more alive and more embodied by you. And it's like, I'm not teaching you. I'm not teaching you a thing. I'm reminding you of who you are. And then in return, when we go into discussion, you teach me and remind me. So I love you. I love you so deeply and so gratefully, and believe that I see you. And on that, I finished. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. So, so beautiful. Thank you.
Mm,
Thank you as
thank
always
you.
for pouring out your heart here. Wonderful.
Thank you.
And you left us with so many nuggets. Where do we start? Anyway, it's time for our guests to rate your physical hand, your virtual hand, or open your mic and say what's your takeaway. Go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Renee. The last time I was here, the energy definitely is peaceful and shift because the last time,
Oh,
it was more about a different energy. Don't want to bring that into the space now. So I'm like, wow, how can you go through that and still be so peaceful? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a few takeaways today. Um, Consciousness changes before behavior. That's one of them. I'm gonna take away. And the other one, asking myself, I haven't asked myself the question, who am I becoming today? But then I can see my consciousness change and not the situation. For example, just a personal experience I just like to share because it reminds me of what you were talking about. And it just happened this morning. So I went to the family chat and I saw a text, family drama. And in the past, I would take sides. So there's the parent side and there's the sibling side. So, I'm on the sibling side. So we would take sides and then um my comment would more like fueling the flame. It wasn't it wasn't the best. It's just adding to the fury, as we would say. So I saw that today, and it's very familiar. It's always happening, and there would be somebody just trying to get others on this side. So it's like, let's see who we can get on this side against that. And I guess the more person on one side, you win, not necessarily the content of the conversation. And text would go through and they'll copy and we send voicemail, so you know what's being said. But I saw that today, and right away my response was different. Instead of taking side, I was not on no one side. I said I cannot. Someone was sending a voicemail and asked their opinion about a conversation they had. I'm like, you cannot tell her what you think about that voicemail because that would be your opinion. If she needs clarity on it, she needs to ask the one who sent it.
mm,
Okay, and we normally would just dissect the conversation and we see the negative in it. And that's our own opinion. If you need clarification, why sending it there? And then she sent it to one, it's between us. But then all of us know because it's on the family chat, so no, it's not between us. And it keep going on and going on. And at that point, I wasn't even thinking about whether or not, they would agree with what I'm saying. I just felt as if I needed to say that so it can stop. It won't be spiraling. Go to the person that sent it to you and get clarification because sometimes we see things differently based on where we are.
Mm-hmm.
So then, yeah, I choose to speak very honestly, respectfully, and in a way that hopefully, it would bring peace instead of adding to the conflict. So I appreciate the talk as always. It makes me realize that growth isn't just about knowing what's right. It's about responding differently when we are faced with the same situation. So the situation doesn't change, your consciousness changes, and that's what it reminded me of.
mm.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Excellent. That's perfect. That's a perfect example. Thank you. That's
Mm.
so perfect. When I was pastoring a church, my mom was always there. And so for some reason, she felt that she was queen. And no matter what I was doing, she'd be like from across the room, trying to get my attention, even if I was speaking to somebody. And the other thing that would happen was people would come to her to tell me something. And so she'd go, well, somebody is concerned about blah, blah, blah. And I said, Mama, I love you and I appreciate you. And here's where you get to be in your power and say, go directly to my daughter. Or they'd go to a board member, or they'd go to someone else and they'd have this little back and forth. And that's triangulation. So we're doing that whole this person, this person, this person, this person. And it's habitual to just stand in your like, and I have a teacher when I'd say, well, I don't know, da, 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 what do you think? She'd go, doesn't matter what I think. What do you think? Mm-hmm. So thank you.
So greetings and blessings to everybody.
Jana, welcome.
Thank you. So Dr. Renee, thank you for so many confirmations because it's been an interesting journey. But I was on another call earlier today, and some of the takeaways that I took from that kind of came back to what you were saying. If you want a good life so bad, there's nothing you can't have if you want it, right? God will give you the desires of your heart if you are focused. So as I'm going through my own journey and I'm figuring out, okay, so I'm becoming or I am trying to remember who it is that my soul is calling me to be. But in order for me to do that, you kind of just drew it back in for me, asking the questions of uh, who am I going to be today? Right. And then the other thing is not only who am I going to be today, but I want this life, but God, can you give me the capacity to hold what I'm asking for? So very profound in everything that you said. And it gave me a lot of confirmation on a lot of things and just the journey of even with you saying how you went through all these different you asked for something, right? Because the same things you asked for, I asked for. I asked for peace. I asked for more love. I asked for more joy, more forgiveness. And before I got close to any of that, my world fell apart.
Mm.
And it didn't make sense. And it still doesn't make sense 100%. Different things kind of transpired. And in that process, I found myself in Florida, which my soul was calling me to be here for whatever reason. But you gave me confirmation on that as well. Right. And now that I'm here, I came for a different experience. That didn't work out. So it's like things are still kind of falling apart, but falling together.
Mm.
And as yesterday I went to the beach with Reverend Alma and Miss Patricia, and me and Miss Patricia were talking, and it life takes you back to those old stories. And even though you're trying to move away from those stories that no longer hold value for you, they still come up, right? And Miss Patricia had to just remind me, you have to get more conscious. So this was very profound. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You said something about receiving, how do we receive? And so I think that's when we become open, just the willingness to be open. And what came to my mind was a visual of you have a bowl that's covered in cellophane and you turn on the water and you're expecting the water to go into the bowl, but it can't. The cellophane's there. And that is our old beliefs. It just bounces right off, right? And splashes everywhere and makes a big mess. This is where the work of consciousness and awareness and curiosity comes in.
Mm.
And so thank you for sharing that. That is, yes, it's a journey, isn't it? And I just do send out heartfelt love for any pain that you experience because it is sometimes it's a journey. And so thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Mm.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good
Morning.
morning.
Good morning, Dr. Renee. Thank you again. It's always such a privilege and a joy to just sit
Thank you.
and listen to your conversation whenever you're on.
Thank you.
And so for me, what really holds me is the caterpillar story and the fact that we can't unknown what we know,
Mhm.
right? And it's like you say, the butterfly cannot go back to crawling. It's a butterfly now. You can't go back there. So I'm just holding on to that. And I'm saying the thing is that the consciousness and the fact that consciousness changed before the behavior, because who is thinking the thought? We have to be aware of the thoughts that we're thinking. And then we have to shift. Because if we don't shift, we don't change, then the behavior that's going to follow that is of its kind.
Mm.
It's going to produce after its kind. So if we want different, we have to think different. And so I am holding on to this for this week to really ask myself every morning as I wake up, because my soul is just always at this time in my life is just searching and following. I just want to grow more and more in depth of my whole being, not just my physical being, but my spiritual being, the whole being of me, who I am. And so it's just asking the question, who am I becoming today? Not who I was yesterday or who I want to be tomorrow, but today, the present moment. That's what we have, the present. Who am I becoming today? So I just thank you for just really remembering us, just to remind us that this is who you are. We just have to keep on top of ourselves and to be aware of the emerging pattern that's coming up.
Mhm.
And I love the part that says, stop introducing yourself as who you were, who you used to be.
Mhm.
But who am I becoming today? And so I really just love your conversation. And as I continue on my journey, I just know that with the work that I want to do and that I'm doing, is that my life experience is what I have. It's not to go out searching for things as it related to the people I'm serving. But what is my own life experience? So thank you so much. I appreciate you all.
Thank you so much. Um, I just love you guys so much and how you mirror back who you are and who I am, and then we do this circle dance together. I do want to share with you a mantra that I live by, and I live by it all the time. Sometimes when I walk out the door, or in a moment of when I find myself shifting, or right before I got on to speak, I say, "You and me, God, you go first." And that has been something I've done for years and years and years and years. And it's because I want to get, what is it, Emerson? I get my bloated nothingness out of the way. And what I mean by that is the story, the old story. And so I want to lead with that spirit of the one. So you and me, God, you go first. I'm going to sit over here, but I'm going to let my soul and my consciousness lead this. Okay. So you can use that if you want.
Yeah. Yes, we can take that.
Sure, I love that. I'll hold
We
that
can take
too.
that.
Well, I
Mhm.
just good morning.
Good
I
morning.
when Dr. Renee said her mantra, I was just before she said that, I was thinking that I wanted to share mine. You know, some of you know that I took that trip to India and I went to the top of the mountain. I climbed 600 steps to go to that temple. And I took each step saying this mantra. I am presence, and I am one with my mother, father, God. I am presence, and I am one with my mother, father, God. That took me up the mountain and that brought me down the mountain. And so when Dr. Renee said she gave her mantra, I said, well, I'm going to share mine too, because I know mine is also can be shared and can be used because it moves me. And that's where I spend many of my days. I am presence, and I am one with my mother, Father God.
Mm.
Oh
I'm,
man, I am
I'm just like,
laughing.
Go
I
ahead.
want to add that on to mine, actually. I love that. Thank you.
This one helped me to just de-stress from the past. It said, I am not concerned about what happened yesterday. I know that today everything is made new. I let go of all sense
Mm,
of
mm.
limitation. I divorce my thought from any lack and belief.
God increase, well, God decrease me so that you can increase in me.
You know, but I like the story of the caterpillar, Dr. Renee, and as Veronica was talking, I'm thinking, is it inevitable that we know the butterfly has to emerge,
Mhm.
but given that we are in this realm of choice, can we, in your experience as a pastor, and I know your coach and counsel, can we as humans stay in the caterpillar state even when everything is pointing us towards a butterfly? Of course, based on our limitations and our fear, you're saying we keep going back to what's comfortable. We go to
Mm-hmm.
complaining and, oh, you don't know what's happening to me. You don't know what I'm going through and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Can we stay at the caterpillar stage?
Sure. We most certainly can by arguing for our limitation, because that's
Right.
what we do. That's what we do when we're like, oh, but you don't know. Oh, but you don't know. Oh, but you don't know. Over these past months, I have not really spoken about the details of what has happened. I shared with you, of course, but I have not really, I don't tell a lot of people, I don't go into the whole story. And therefore, I have really stayed in this place of sacredness and not sharing the story. And so I could be in the victim. Oh, why? Oh, why? There's no answer to why. There never will be an answer to why. And so when we argue for our limitations, we're just staying in the bug soup. So, yes, we
Mhm.
can. And it's our choice, right?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
because we're in the realm of choice. All right. Just before we go, because we're coming up on time, you mentioned about doing the quantum physics, and I know you're not really, stretched out there with that. But you mentioned a sentence, a phrase here that says the electron exists as possibility, but where after that I was trying to write so fast. So the electron would be like our consciousness, or the non-physical, or what is unseen.
We live in a universe of energy, right?
Right.
Everything is energy. And so if you could imagine that there's just all these electrons or neurons or whatever, it's sparkling all around us. That's what the universe is just energy. And so when we focus on something, it's almost like we're plucking it out. Okay. And so we're collapsing the non-thing at that point, because it's nothing yet until we view it. And how we view it is with the demand of our mind. And so that's when it becomes
Okay.
something. It's almost like, ooh, I'm going to have that. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
very, it sounds complicated, but
Right.
I've tried to find different ways to describe it, but
It's right.
it's, it's about what are we grabbing onto?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So everything is energy. And, so if you think about, let's think about, like, have you ever been to a sushi bar and stuff goes around,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's that substance that we live in. And until we grab onto one of the sushis, that becomes our intention and our manifestation.
Okay. So
Okay.
nothing happens in the realm of possibility until we decide that this is what I'm gonna select.
Yes, until we notice it.
Okay. Here you
Okay, let me
Yeah.
help you out with that one, Reverend. Uh, uh,
Okay.
it's all energy.
Yep.
Every word, and that's what it's in the beginning was the word, and the word was
Right.
God. That's the power. So every word has a pattern. And so
Mm-hmm.
when when we speak the words or think those words, the energy that is all around is then acted upon through the alchemy of the laws of the universe. So every word has a pattern. That's why it's important to pay attention to what you're thinking. And so when you start pulling your desires into your vision, you label them, and you label them with words. And
Mm-hmm.
those words then form the pattern. That's what makes the energy, that it pulls the energy into those patterns.
Right.
And the more you say those words, the more you focus on whatever it is, the energy of that pattern, that pattern pulls more energy in to become dense enough to be
Right.
a demonstration in your life.
Pull it into
And so it's
form. Yeah.
the way in which that energy is moved upon is by the words that you say and you think.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And those words that you say and think are form continue to form the pattern for that energy to
Right.
become obvious or
Definitely.
seen.
Mm.
Yeah, what she
Yes.
just said, that's it.
Yes. That's it.
That's what I meant.
I gotta start dig deeper into this quantum physics. Thank you so much. That what she just said.
That's
She put it
awesome.
so eloquently. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
that.
Patricia, for your
Oh,
It's magnificent, that Patricia.
that part was said by Patricia a moment ago. I remember that as one of the greatest lessons I've learned in this what do you call it? In this
philosophy.
pardon?
It's philosophy.
Yes, in this philosophy, when I was taught that by Reverend Alma, use the word that has the highest frequency.
Frequency.
And
Mm-hmm.
that really shifted some things in my head. And I really noticed that the words that you use
Mm-hmm.
really impacts whatever happens around you.
Yes, yes.
Now, to Reverend Leboa's talk,
Mm-hmm.
he said, uh, I changed the language that I speak. I really felt that when I realized that you did change the language that you spoke.
Mm.
And that started when you removed from your introduction,
Mhm.
Start Over Queen.
Start over Queen, yes.
When you dropped that, it was like a butterfly dropping the
Mhm.
encasement and beginning to fly. And I really felt
Yeah.
a shift. And
Yes.
I think the shift has been rippling like a drop of a stone in a pond,
Mm.
and you
Mm-hmm.
watch those waves rise.
Wow.
It's been
I
beautiful.
I have you to thank for that, sir. You brought that to my attention and I grabbed onto it. So you are my mentor and I truly appreciate you noticing that and makes me feel really emotional because yes, I have remembered what you said and I have held on to that. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, the shift is tangible.
Hmm.
We can feel it. We can feel
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah. Now
Wow.
you also spoke about faith. I don't remember really how you um, expressed faith, but I look at faith for me as being willing to accept the answer for what I pray for,
Mm.
not necessarily, you, you know,
Mhm.
how it plays out. And I would say, if I ask for an orange and I get a lemon, then my greatest need might be for the nutrients that's in the lemon. So I'll make lemonade.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So
It's a good one.
Beautiful.
it's just being willing to accept,
Hmm.
for me,
Not to experiment. Yes.
right, the answer that I get when I ask.
Right.
Mm,
That's
beautiful.
beautiful. Yes, it is.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you,
That's so
everyone, for your
beautiful.
contribution.
Let me just add one thing to that.
Okay,
So
and
I
then
had
we'll close
put that
after that.
for that was faith is trusting before you can see what you are envisioning.
Mm,
Uh, and as Dr. Reverend Renee said there, the place to and for learning is the opportunity for expanding.
right.
And only through our inner world, which is the cause, can we
Mm,
experience the effect to our thinking to change our environment.
mm.
That's my add to it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yes, we have a lot of takeaways here, and we thank you so much, Dr. Renee. We love you so much.
Love
It
you
was
so much.
food for thought here. All right.
And
And
George, real
now,
quick, I want to lay this on you that I don't know if you recognize this or if I've said it, but you and this community are part of my healing.
oh,
So thank
oh,
you.
thank
Thank you.
you. Wow.
Mhm.
Thank
We
you.
love you. Thank you. Thank you. Always in
Yeah,
prayer for you.
Thank you.
we have experienced some healing over here too. As you know, we open it out. We have all been vulnerable, and thank you
Mm.
for initiating that. Mm, beautiful.
I'm all
Thank you.
cracked
Thank
up
you.
now.
Sure. That's good.
Hmm.
Ah, all right. So we're gonna move along now in our celebration today in our soul service. Thank you,
Oh,
everyone.
thank you. And just before that, Miss, we have a note from Dr. Pad. She says, "Greetings. My phone connection is unstable, but I must say, wow! Once again, Reverend Dr. Renee speaks truth into my soul.
So
Thank you,
thank
and thank you,
you.
Mm,
Dr.
love
Pad, for
you.
that."